Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7 p.m. on June 14th, and I would like to call the meeting of the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board to order at 7 o'clock. The first item, so I would just make note that this meeting, the open set of the part of the meeting is being live streamed. Thank you for joining us. And item number one is the approval of the agenda. Before we do that, are there any additions or modifications to this evening's agenda? Seeing and hearing none, may I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Fellner, seconded by Mayor Robinson, that the agenda for the June 14th, 2023 West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board is hereby approved as circulated. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Item 1.3 is a declaration of pecuniary interest. Are there any interests to declare this evening? Seeing and hearing none, I will move us to item 1.4, which is the approval of the minutes for April 12th. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Mayor Moore, seconded by Councillor Doborow, that the minutes of the April 12th, 2023 West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board are hereby approved as circulated. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. I don't believe that there are any presentations, delegations, or correspondence for this evening. Is that correct, Ms. Johnson?
That's correct.
Thank you very much. And that moves us into item 3, which is business and the chair's report. And I would like to acknowledge the significant work that has been done by our steering committee, by members of the project management team, as well as our architects and our fundraising team between the last meeting and this evening. And we will hear verbal reports and updates throughout the meeting. So thank you very much for all you do, and thank you to Clerk Johnson, who keeps us well organized as well. Item 3.2 is an update on the Whitestone agreement, and in the original agendas, I do apologize. The resolution wasn't included, but we have it this evening, and I'm going to read it, and then we will ask. There is the report from the steering committee, and Mr. Harris will take us through that. But the resolution will read that the Whitestone Agreement update be received for information purposes, and that the board advise the municipality of Whitestone that it intends to undertake the review in a time frame outlined in the agreement, which is planned for 2023. So, Mr. Harris, is there anything that you would like to bring to our attention with respect to that process?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to advise the board that remind the board that it entered into an agreement with the municipality of Whitestone in October 2022. There were a couple of conditions in there in order to for Whitestone to provide the funding that they've committed to, and one of the conditions was a review of the forecast for operations. A firm's been engaged, BDO, the recognized firm in both accounting, audit, and consulting. They've been engaged and are in the process of undertaking that review. So it's underway. It'll be completed prior to the finalization of the architectural drawings, which was a requirement, and we'll report back with the results of that review. In the interim, or since that agreement was approved with Whitestone, Whitestone wanted confirmation that we're actually undertaking the review and the timing of that review. So part of the recommendation or the resolution is that the Whitestone be advised that yes, we are undertaking that review as they had requested, and the timing can't be too specific, but certainly it'll be done before the architectural drawings are complete as they requested, and that's anticipated for 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Are there any questions for Mr. Harris with respect to the Whitestone Agreement update? Mayor Moore.
Yeah, I was just wondering, has Whitestone paid any amount yet at all?
Through the chair, no. Their agreement to contribute any funding is based on this review being completed.
And who's been covering the costs up to that point then? All the municipalities? Where's it coming from?
The cost of the review is the cost of this board.
Okay, and the other money that was put up front, that all the other municipalities paid for, how much was Whitestone going to provide, donate?
Off the top of my head, per the agreement, they're going to contribute $250,000 to capital. As a guess, I think had they remained a partner, their contribution might have been $500,000. I can certainly review that and send a follow-up note to members of council, but I believe it was around 5.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing was the 250,000. I appreciate that. And so we're functioning without that figure right now in the bank account.
Yes, we are. They had also agreed to contribute. It's approximately up to $18,000 a year towards any operating deficits, and they would agree to do that for a 10-year period.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Any other questions? And may I have a mover and a seconder, please, for the resolution? Moved by Mayor McGarvey, seconded by Mayor Robertson, that the Whitestone Agreement update be received for information purposes, and that the board advise the municipality of Whitestone that it intends to undertake the review in the timeframe outlined in the agreement, which is planned for 2023. Any additional questions, comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 3.3 is a verbal update on the fundraising report. And we have Mayor Ann McDermott this evening. And would you like to provide that update, Mary Ann?
Yes, I'll be very brief, and then I will turn it over to Judy Haber, who's our fundraising consultant. You will be seeing our volunteers at many markets selling t-shirts and collecting donations. The donations are making us a whole lot more money than the t-shirts. But for those of you that own t-shirts, please start wearing them everywhere. We are delaying what I will call is the $100,000 matching until there is a reveal, if you will, of what the pool's going to look like and where it's going to be located, because we believe that will inspire the community donations. At present, the focus is with Ms. Haber, who's our fundraising consultant, to get the 6-figure donations in. And Judy, I'll turn it over to you for a brief update. You will not hear any names at this point because we're in open, but Judy has made significant progress. So I'm looking for where you are on the screen, Judy, way down at the bottom. Judy, can you turn your camera on and give a brief report?
Hi, everyone. At this time, we're in discussions with a major donor who is overseas, and he's expressed interest in overall naming rights, and he knows what our ask is, and we will be meeting for lunch when he returns back into the country in 2 weeks.
And I think it's important to point out that we believe that lead donor is incredibly important before we go into secondary donors. And you might want to talk a little bit about strategy there, Judy.
That's correct. I mean, it's all about momentum. You know, similar to what we experienced in Bracebridge, it does take time to get the lead donor not motivated in this case, because he is motivated, but to sign the agreement and then to execute the agreement and then to go public. So that's our intent. And obviously we're highly motivated to do that as soon as possible. And then once that's accomplished, we will then start securing secondary naming rights partners within the facility, including some of the people that he does business with.
And are you at liberty, Judy, to say how he might participate? A little bit
Well-
unusual.
Well, our ask certainly is a couple $1 million. So he knows that that's what we need. But to be perfectly frank, we would hope for more over the long term.
Awesome. It's very exciting. Thank you. Any questions for Marianne or Ms. Haber? Liverence.
Yeah, I know you can't reveal who it is, but can you at least identify if this is a domestic donor? I know there's some political tensions about overseas money. I would like to make sure that this is a domestic donor.
It's a company registered in Canada.
But just
And
because they're
doing-
registered
and
in
do-
Canada does
and-
not necessarily mean they're a domestic donor.
And doing business in West Parry Sound.
Correct.
Okay. As long as the entity is owned by domestic owners, that's fine.
Correct.
Thank you for that. Any other questions, comments for Marianne or Ms. Haber? Mayor Robinson,
Can we have an update in terms of the bank account, exactly how much money has been received and how much has been dispersed?
I will ask CAO Harris to respond to that because I do not have access to our bank account. We are still waiting for the original $40,000 that was raised in previous years to be released to us, which was to pay Ms. Haber's initial payments. We still have no access to that. And so I turn it over to Mr. Harris for what the status is of the fundraising account.
Through the chair, this evening, I don't have that amount in hand or at my fingertips, but we can provide it to the board tomorrow.
And I would appreciate a copy as well.
thank you. Mayor Moore.
I just had one quick question. Mayor McDermott had mentioned reveal. I'm just wondering whether she has any idea when that might be. Because I know under closed session tonight, we're talking about various other topics, but maybe just ask the chair as well, what date are we aiming for the reveal, so we'll know what the structure is going to look like. And
So what I would want to be really careful not to set false expectations, but to share with everyone that we're very conscious of the need to make decisions and be in a position to break ground on our new center just as soon as possible. There are repercussions in terms of delays, so we're very cognizant of that. But we have some important discussions to have this evening and some decisions to make. So I hope that it will be as soon as possible. But I'm not in a position, or I don't believe we're in a position just to set a date this evening or to share that information at this time.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
I think everybody understands, as we sell a t-shirt, donations, we were selling freezies at the run. And parents were putting $10 into the donation pocket for a 25-cent freezie. But everybody's question is, when will I be swimming? So I think once we can answer that question, the momentum will pick up.
thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Ms. Haber and Mayor McDermott for that update. And that moves us to the end of our open meeting for this evening. So I am going to adjourn the meeting at 7:14 p.m. Thank you very much for members of the public for joining us, and stay safe and be well. Take care.
Excuse me, Chair Sanderson, there's a resolution to move us into closed meeting.
Thank you. May I have a mover and a second or to move into closed? Moved by Mayor McGarvey, seconded by Councillor Fellner, that pursuant to section 239, subsection 2 and 3 of the Municipal Act S0 2001, Section 25, as amended, the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board moves to a meeting closed to the public in order to address matters pertaining to K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, in this case, the ICIP Transfer Payment Agreement Negotiations Project. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that motion is approved, carried. Thank you. And we will move into close now. Take care.